from the real and serious threat to our economy if the worst does happen. Speaking on the economy, there are still parts of our island that is not feeling the recovery. And there is an east-west divide in this country. 2 out of every 3 jobs created last year were in Dublin and the wider community. And that's not good enough for those that believe in an Ireland for all. If we want to build for the long term, we have to think strategically and with focus. If we want to bring the people with us, we need to put the country first. If we want to bring the country with us, we need a leader with a proven track record of doing just that. A leader that has restored and reinvigorated our party. A leader who wants a progressive Ireland for all of our citizens. A leader who has been tested in the most difficult of times and has come through. A leader who we know can face the tough choices of governing because he has rejected the easy options in opposition. A leader who has the vision, the determination, the resilience and the patience that we need. Delegates, I give you our leader, Uachtaráin Fianna Fáil Micheál Martin.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your welcome. Thank you for your commitment to our party, and most of all, thank you for the work that you do in the communities you serve. This Ardèche has been a chance to take a step away from daily events, a chance to look at the big challenges our country faces. And no one can doubt for even one moment just how serious these challenges are. In many ways, we are at a defining moment in our history. Profound issues concerning relations on this island, with our nearest neighbour and with Europe, are becoming more urgent every day. The Northern institutions, created by the Good Friday Agreement, which delivered a hard-won peace, have been suspended for over 2 years, and sectarian tensions are rising. In less than 5 weeks, Brexit is due to take effect, ripping up a core foundation which underpins so much cooperation and progress over many decades. And if this was not enough, we also have to confront emergencies in housing, homelessness and health, which are deepening while belief that anything will be done keeps falling. Yet, at this moment of great challenge and uncertainty, a moment when real leadership is needed, we have an out-of-touch government which is chronically incapable of delivering its plans. The only thing ministers are passionate about is using public money to promote themselves. But tonight I want to talk with you not just about the problems our country faces, but also why I believe they can be overcome and the future that working together we can achieve. Let's start by remembering a powerful lesson from the past, a lesson which shows us just how much the Irish people can achieve. This year, we celebrate the centenary of the First Dáil. For its many flaws, Ireland today is one of the very few states in the world which has sustained democracy since its foundation. We owe this to the visionary generation which convened the First Dáil and demanded that democracy be a central part of our revolution. They talked of equality, of overcoming deep poverty, of the moral need to provide for our children, of Ireland's place in a world defined by cooperation, not conflict. And in doing this, they gave us a touchstone by which we could both measure our progress and recognise our failings. Their struggles and their victories were followed in every corner of the globe, inspiring others to seek freedom. 100 years on, it is right that we honour all that they achieved for us. Ireland's history belongs to no party, but we in Fianna Fáil are deeply proud of the role our founders played in leading the cause of Irish freedom. We remember our first chairperson, Constance Markievicz, who was a powerful leader of both the causes of Irish freedom and the political rights of women. And of course, we remember our founder, Eamon de Valera, whose inspirational leadership secured the mandate and legitimacy for Dáil Éireann. So let's always remember that in 1919 and in the century since then, our country has overcome many deeper challenges than we face today, and we can do so again. The first thing we need is a government which can recognise, acknowledge and respond to people's problems. A government which doesn't just announce plans, but actually delivers them. A government which understands the pressures which people face every day in getting a home, in accessing health services, in affording childcare. In normal times, there would be no question about what should happen to this government, but we have to accept the harsh reality of this very moment. Ireland faces a genuinely historic threat from Brexit, and it has to have a government in place if we are to have any chance of limiting its damage. Brexit isn't some small passing issue. It is a blow at the very foundations of much of the progress which our country and Europe have secured together in the past 50 years. If there is a chaotic Brexit, then the damage will be severe and it will be swift. The Department of Finance says it will reduce job numbers by 55,000 and hit public finances by €600 per household within months, and with much worse to come. Farmers and agri-food companies could lose an incredible €1.7 billion, the type of loss which of course would be fed far beyond their sector. British politics is paralysed, and the Bank of England says that Brexit is already damaging Britain by over £500 million per week before it has even taken place. In the face of the political shambles in London, Ireland simply has to be able to react quickly to every development. Ireland needs a government and parliament which are in place and capable of taking decisions. Calling an election today would see us spend up to 4 months both campaigning and forming a government. Nobody who genuinely has Ireland's interests at heart could tolerate this. And of course Sinn Féin is jumping up and down every day, calling for everything to be collapsed. They collapsed the Assembly and government in Northern Ireland over 2 years ago, causing huge damage and leaving the anti-Brexit majority at the mercy of anti-Europe parties. We'll take no lectures from them about the national interest. When 100 times... We'll take no lectures. We take no lectures from them when 100 times out of 100 they put their party and movement's interests first. Everyone agrees that the Brexit threat is historic and urgent, and you just cannot tackle an historic and urgent threat with politics as usual. The price of playing politics with Brexit would be felt by the Irish people in fewer jobs, lower salaries, less money for schools, hospitals and pensions. We want this government gone, but we refuse to expose our country to the massive risk of having no functioning government or Dáil at this moment of great threat. And that is why we took the step of extending the confidence and supply agreement, and it is why Ireland's hand in the Brexit talks remains strong. Every one of our members wants to get out on the doorsteps and sell a message of what a new government can do for our country. It's a difficult decision for us, but it's the right decision, and it reinforces the fact that Fianna Fáil is putting the national interest first. We have to manage the immediate fallout of Brexit, and by every available piece of evidence, we don't have a moment to waste. We need clarity and urgency from our government. Businesses, scared of what they will face after Brexit, need to know now that the grants they require will be there to replace lost business. They need real help in dealing with the challenge of finding new markets and overcoming new barriers. Small Irish businesses and farmers, who together face the biggest threat from Brexit, need help to be in place before the worst hits and not just after the damage is done. And communities on the border, and which rely on trade with Britain, need new investment plans immediately. A core part of our party's heritage is that we are the party which set Ireland on a European course. Sean Lemass and Jack Lynch, with the solid backing of this party, understood that for Ireland to grow and prosper, for Ireland to truly take its place amongst the nations of the world, we had to join a strong European partnership. At a moment when Europe is under attack from so many sinister forces, we can't be on the sidelines as observers. We have to take a stand. The economic and political cost of Euroscepticism is there for everyone to see. And Fianna Fáil has no doubt that Ireland's future is with a positive, strong and forward-looking Europe. Just as it has for most of our party's history, a strong and successful Europe is a core objective of Fianna Fáil, and this is the message we will take to the doorstep at next May's vital European elections. Peace, reconciliation, and unity by consent on this island are also core values for Fianna Fáil. We are rightly proud of our record in government in achieving an unmatched series of historic breakthroughs. Albert Reynolds created the conditions for the ceasefires with the Downing Street Declaration. Bertie Ahern showed incredible leadership in bringing about the Good Friday Agreement, securing its ratification. Securing its ratification and putting in place a precious peace. However, the last 7 years have seen a relentless decline in the political situation in Northern Ireland. Everyone knows that the core issue has been with the DUP and Sinn Féin, who ran the executive like a closed cartel looking after their own. Brexit has been devastating to politics in Northern Ireland, but the problem started long before Brexit, and they still have to be dealt with, no matter what happens with Brexit. Many northern communities are stuck in cycles of poverty. There is no credible plan for developing a new economy or providing jobs for young people. No one is leading the fight against sectarianism and for reconciliation. And yet for 2 whole years, Northern Ireland hasn't even had a government. We need a new agenda for development on both sides of the border. We need an agenda for growth, for investment, for respect and equality. And that's why Fianna Fáil has decided to enter a new partnership with our friends in the SDLP. The party of John Hume and Seamus Mallon already has an honoured place in our history. Our parties achieved great things for Ireland in the past and will do so again. Working together, we can help provide the new agenda, which is so desperately needed, both north and south. And this party is also determined to offer the people a real alternative to Fine Gael's out-of-touch and arrogant government. They simply don't understand the pressures which people are facing every day in finding a home, in giving their kids a good start, or in being able to get the right treatment or therapies when they need them. The economy in general is doing well because of the education, skills and enterprise of the Irish people. But many families and communities are still struggling. They look around and they wonder if anyone understands. They look at the news in the evening, full of claims that everything is great and has never been better. And they wonder what planet these ministers are living on. And of course, they see the flashy announcements followed by massive overspends and a near-complete failure to deliver, and they rightly question where the basic competence is. The housing emergency is the worst of it. Tonight, there are nearly 10,000 people in emergency accommodation, And scandalously, 3,500 of these are children. Through this winter, every night over 150 people have been sleeping on the streets of our capital city. And what have we heard from Fine Gael? Their leader announced, "We have a plan and it's working." Their minister celebrated the latest housing figures, figures which showed a perfect record for his government of missing every target. When faced with 3,500 homeless children, the Taoiseach went to his Ard Fheis and announced an unaffordable €3 billion tax cut weighted to the highest earners. That tells us all we need to know about his priorities. Homelessness is the hardest edge, but every single element of housing policy is in crisis. Whether it's young people trying to find a decent place to rent at an affordable price, a new family looking for a house they can afford, or older people trying to move to a more suitable house, Ireland's housing policy is failing. And this didn't happen by chance. It was the direct result of neglect, complacency, and avoidable cuts. We've put immense pressure on for a new approach. A first start is a €300 million affordable housing scheme that has now been established, which will build 6,000 homes. But much more can and must be done. Credit unions are ready and able to get involved in creating and supporting more social and affordable housing, and they should be allowed to do so. Local authorities have to be freed from damaging bureaucracy, which is stopping them from quickly providing housing on suitable state land. You can't build or maintain homes without essential skills being available, so we urgently need more apprenticeships for plumbers, electricians, and other trades. People who rent or who live in apartments and managed estates have to be protected from the abuse of excessive charges and extortionate increases. Fianna Fáil is determined to return to the days when the state fulfilled its basic duty of making sure that all its people have the chance to buy or rent a decent place to live. Another core responsibility for government should be providing quality care and treatment to people when they need it. And it is another area where the current government is out of touch and out of ideas. Today there are unprecedented waiting lists and there's a near complete lack of basic leadership. There are over 500,000 patients waiting for hospital appointments, the highest number ever recorded. An entirely avoidable dispute with nurses and midwives is what you get with the neglect and detachment we've seen from government. People with disabilities shouldn't have to fight to get basic services. Parents of children with special needs shouldn't face a lengthy struggle to get the basic assessment and supports they need to be able to participate and thrive in school and in the wider community. Instead of working with doctors, nurses, administrators, and other professionals to manage investment and focus on helping people, they have taken a different approach. We can see this in the sorry tale of the new Children's Hospital and a massive overrun, which may be the tip of the iceberg. The government toured the country, advertising plans for projects which might start in 10 years' time, but they have gone missing every time the reality of rising waiting lists and missed targets have been exposed. And while they're massively overspending in some areas, in others they refuse to spend the money allocated to desperately needed services. We demanded and secured major new funding for mental health services to begin to address a massive need. Yet 3 years in a row, the government has failed to hire the staff or deliver the service. Of course, there has been a lot of public outrage at scandals such as the handling of cervical smear tests and overspending. There is a very easy way of stopping these scandals. Ministers need to stop the secrecy and start being open and honest with the Irish people. We want to increase funding to the successful National Treatment Purchase Fund so that more patients can be treated and ensure that no child has to wait more than 3 months for a disability assessment. Older people should be able to receive the Fair Deal scheme to allow them to be cared for in their own homes. We need to recruit more GPs to treat patients in their local community, employ more consultants for public service work, and increase bed capacity. It's long past time to end Fine Gael's failed approach in health. We need a commitment to develop our public health services, to implement credible plans, and to value the work of the professionals we rely on. And that is Fianna Fáil's commitment. Strong communities are the lifeblood of Irish society. They have sustained us through the hardest of times and given us our best values. Yet in cities, towns and rural areas, communities are under pressure. Communities feel threatened by the failure to deal with antisocial behaviour on the streets and in meeting places. Shops and services continue to leave our main streets, forcing people to travel often long distances. There is a sense that government doesn't notice and doesn't even care. And of course, there is the saga of the National Broadband Plan. 7 years after the launch of the plan, not only is there no signed contract, costs are spiralling. There are over 500,000 homes and businesses which have no access to a technology which is now a basic requirement for a lot of jobs and many industries. The fact is that this government simply does not understand the importance of supporting communities or how much we will lose as a country if this neglect continues. And that's why we want the Community Services Guarantee to give a real priority to regenerating our high streets and allowing access to essential services. We want a new commitment to policing public spaces, to stamp out behaviour which is intimidating far too many people. We are determined that the priority for investment will be community-level services. And we also understand that a sustainable environment is crucial for healthy communities. Everyone can see the impact of climate change in increasingly extreme weather patterns, but big parts of our natural environment are also in danger. The neglect of the last 7 years has to end, and this should be an issue which unites people of all parties and none. There is no time left to debate, and there is no doubt our environment is under threat and sustained action is needed. And in the local elections this May, Fianna Fáil's candidates will carry with them a clear message that for us, supporting and developing sustainable communities is an absolute priority. The Antaviocan Untuk, a sprag or rave loid Kate Blino hin, Bunahe go dangan or Von Clocka, a Vicora Vime, Le Rhein Blinter Rivishin. Credoch go chord mass agus luch a ve an Gultur Gaelach. Near Eich or Monahori an Gultur Gaelach, mar rod coon le. Vi she getrained and tourum, go chord on Gultur, Shassad go Brodoil, Kroge, a jaunt in the Gultur ella Oropach. Deek she an Gultur, an Tanga, agus an Litricht, mar Litig con le Ruele a hort, our star, our Celta, agus our miente don Tawachi. Show raid on Dokish, the Ledeshne den Sco, dov shooter, Valo, Roll, Brever, Fenuil, a ve egan welge, a sail nu I'm sure in the Herden. Food fad na tira, ta chailige Korabashti, Conedachus, Trivan na gelge a oil. Ta gluing nua, de Strignori, agus Dalentori, eg ober Triguelga. Ta Canrock Loider, Ad Rarkoch, eg Tastoil, con Ray on Dokish, Shod don Gelge, a Choravine. Bochornis mo ta Kirchte, agus Geneva Chorafoil, con a stratege for Heblin don Gweling, a Coragriak Hefok tak Loider. Coffernis mo Muntori Gwelga, a Renoil, Fiaus a Chwer a Vunan a Gwelga in our Skullina, agus Bekiart Gak Erucht a Yenev, Usaid or Danganashunte a Chwer Contusig, a Chahu, agus a Orbers na Geltokti, agus na Ngak Kjarn den Tirshaw a Gunga. Arts and culture played a central role in building our unique identity. They help us to question ourselves and to find new horizons. But this government needs to understand that the surest way to destroy our creative communities is to deny people the opportunity to earn a decent wage or have some prospect of a secure job. It's time for the government to stop taking arts funding away from independent bodies and putting it into schemes controlled by ministers. It's time to start showing support for the artists, writers, curators, and others who are central to our cultural life. At this moment of great challenge for Ireland, a government which puts politics first and style over substance is just not good enough. We have to get through Brexit first We have to be able to quickly respond to whatever happens in the coming weeks and months. We have to help businesses and communities to limit its damage. And then we must focus on showing the Irish people that there is an alternative. They don't have to accept the chronic failure to deliver plans, the rising waiting lists, the scandalous levels of homelessness, a government which just doesn't get it. There is huge work to be done, but Fianna Fáil is absolutely committed to restoring people's hope in the idea that government can understand and respond to their concerns, that it will work with them for strong communities, for decent housing, for access to healthcare when you need it, for an end to the funding crisis faced by our schools and universities, for a sustainable environment, for a return to progress and development in Northern Ireland, for a government which is open and honest with people. 100 years ago, a revolutionary generation set out a vision for Irish democracy. For Fianna Fáil, this remains our challenge and our commitment to build a fairer Ireland, an Ireland which listens and responds to the people's concerns, which fights divisive policies, supports its weakest citizens, values education, empowers enterprise, now and always an Ireland which serves all of its people. Go míle míle maith go léir. Well, great to see you indeed. Great to see you. Thank you, Colin. Well done today. Oh my God, all right. Bobby. How are you finding it? Yeah. All right. If you're too certain for the mental time that appeared again, you must have hit that. You do mentally, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Fair play to you, got up early, yeah.